executives have decided it is their job to indoctrinate your children into leftist ideology and sexualize their programming to reflect that goal. Listen to the words of Disney's executive producer LaToya Ravino from a leaked recording of one of their internal meetings.
I worked at small studios most of my career, and I'd heard, you hear whispers. Like I'd heard things like, oh, they won't let you show this at a Disney show. And I'm like, okay. So I was a little like sus when I started. But then my experience was bafflingly the opposite of what I had heard on my little pocket of Proud Family Disney TVA. The showrunners were super welcoming. Meredith Roberts and our leadership over there has been so welcoming to my not at all secret gay agenda. And so I feel like I felt like it was, maybe it was that way in the past, but I guess something must have happened in the last they are turning it around. They're going hard.
As you heard, Disney has a not so secret gay agenda. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is not my words. That was the words of Disney's executive producer. And as you could see in that clip, they said they're going hard on that not so secret gay agenda. But maybe you think, that's just one of their children's producers. No. Disney's production coordinator, Alan March, wants to make sure there's plenty of queer characters and not just in the background, because that wouldn't promote that agenda well enough. They need to be main characters.
Yeah, I've had the privilege of working with the Moon Girl team for the last 2 years, and they've been really open to exploring queer stories. And I'm on the production side. Part of the work that I feel like I can put in is making sure that we take place in modern day New York. So making sure that that's an accurate reflection of New York. So I put together a tracker of our background characters to make sure that we have the full breadth of expression. And we got into a very similar conversation, Carrie, of all of our gender nonconforming characters are in the background. And so it's not just a numbers game of how many LGBTQ plus characters you have. We got the further, the more centered a story is on a character, the more nuanced you get into their story. And especially with trans characters, you can't see if someone is trans. There's not one way to look trans. And so kind of the only way to have these canonical trans characters, canonical asexual characters, canonical bisexual characters is to give them stories where they can be their whole selves.
If this isn't enough to convince you, Disney's president of general entertainment, Carrie Burke, said she was dismayed that there weren't more main characters to push this agenda.
To all of us, we had an open forum last week at 20th where, again, the home of really incredible, groundbreaking LGBTQIA stories over the years where one of our execs stood up and said, we only have a handful of queer leads in our content. And I went, what? That can't be true. And I realized, it actually is true.
The Disney Diversity and Inclusion Manager, Vivian Ware, gave an example of how they are implementing this sexual ideology into their theme parks.
Last summer, we removed all of the gendered greetings in relationship to our live spiels. So we no longer say ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We've provided training for all of our cast members in relationship to that. So now they know it's hello everyone or hello friends. We are in the process of changing over those recorded messages. And so many of you are probably familiar when we brought the fireworks back to the Magic Kingdom. We no longer say ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we say dreamers of all ages. And so I love the fact that it's opened up the creativity, the opportunity for our cast members to look at that. We have our cast members working with merchandise, working with food and beverage, working with all of our guest-facing areas where perhaps, we want to create that magical moment with our cast members, with our guests. And we don't want to just assume because someone might be in our interpretation, maybe presenting as female, that they may not want to be called princess. So let's think differently about how do we really engage with our guests in a meaningful and inclusive way that makes it magical and memorable for everyone.
So what they're trying to do is erase all references to boys and girls and men and women. And they're doing it on purpose because their ideology states that sexuality or gender is malleable. In other words, there aren't really just two sexes, male and female. This is a subtle way to push this ideology to those who watch their programming or visit their theme parks. Now, if you haven't seen these clips before, I hope this is a real eye-opener to you and that you'll recognize that there really is truly an agenda going on at the Disney company. So if you want to see one of the other videos that will help you become the most effective parent you can be, I hope you'll click on one of the cards on the screen now. Parents, we can win this. I hope to see you here next time, so be sure to subscribe.